It's a new year. We're into 2026, but the same old applies. It's Tuesday evening. It's 9 o'clock. You're on Gantry TV, and you're set to watch the best of the Irish and international drivers from right across the iRacing service battle it out for yet another national eSIM championship. My name is Kevin Galvin. I am joined, of course, as always, by Evan Dalton. This is indeed Gantry TV. Very happy to make your acquaintance. Thank you so much for joining us this evening at a Donington Park in England that is covered by glorious sunshine. Now we're going to get to the nuts and bolts as to why we're here and some of the very special reasons why our grid is indeed so packed this evening. But let us take you to the very first location of this Formula V Scholarship Series. We head away from Mondello Park across the Irish Sea and over to Castle Donington in the county of Leicestershire and to the national circuit. This is an iconic track, this Donington Park. You'll know it if you've followed British formulas or indeed any sort of touring cars. This Donington track, 3.149 kilometres, 10 turns with a race lap record from Scott Mansell of a 55.8. Very different V record here. These, of course, are based on the old Volkswagen Beetles. These single-seater cars, exceptionally popular around Mondello, and there's a bit of a link there, as you'll find out in a bit if you don't know already. Thanks to so much of you who are already in the comments and are watching in. Lots of people are watching on two devices, believe it or not. But we're here at Donington Park. It's, as I said, 3.149 kilometres, a track temperature of a whopping 43 degrees Celsius, with the Formula V record 117.520. So just a bit of a barometer to bear in mind as we watch these guys hurtle around this track just to the west of East Midlands Airport. So if you've ever flown into East Midlands Airport, you'll have seen Donington in all of its splendour. As I said, my name is Kevin Galvin. In the background, Ronan Hederman is doing all of the good work, and we're joined as well, as always, by my partner in crime, my ever-present sidekick, and the man who really knows about this stuff, and I just follow his lead, Evan Dalton. Evan, thanks so much for joining us again, and for being here for yet another season. This season, however, is like no other. You can see that some drivers are indicated in yellow, some are indicated in clear. Some of the clear ones you may have seen before. A lot of the yellow names you mightn't have seen before. Evan, explain exactly what's going on here.
Yes, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Gantry TV. We are 2 years on the air now, Kevin. It's been a long 2 years at some points, but very quick 2 years, and it is a pleasure to be here once again. I am obliged to mention, though, after 2 years, we're now finally broadcasting in 1440p. Ronan Hederman working tirelessly in the off-season to make sure everything is A-OK. This is RTA Virtual Motorsport, Ireland's premier sim racing series. We've been barking on for those 2 years about how good our drivers are. Now it's time to prove to the world just how good they are. This is the RTA Formula V Ireland Scholarship Series. What's the difference here? Well, through the next 8 weeks of racing and through interviews and an adjudication panel, we will be selecting 3 drivers who will be racing 1 weekend each in the Irish Formula V National Championship. One will do the double header in April in Mondello, and then the other 2 drivers will do a round each in Mondello Park as well, of course. And a big thanks to Mondello, who will be funding the entries for that as part of the RTA Virtual Motorsport programme. The stakes for this championship have never truly been higher. We have the biggest prize ever for an Irish sim racing series, dare I say, other than your big monetary amounts. We have, dare I say, the coolest prize as well. This is going to be high-octane, dramatic action more than ever.
Yeah, and it's great to see some of these guys, a lot of new faces, a lot of drivers making their debuts. I'm sure we'll get to them over the course of the broadcast, but also an awful lot of faces that we've seen before, and great to see how these guys will stack up against our more regular drivers, the likes of Conor Melia and Dylan McClements. Of course, Dylan comes in as our triple championship winner now, I think. Dylan going on an absolute fine fettle of form. We were obviously off air around the Christmas time, but we're back on air now. We didn't get to see Dylan's last championship victory from a broadcast point of view. But Evan, you know these guys exceptionally well because for the very first time you got to race with them last season.
I did. It was very cool. They showed me up quite a bit. I got a podium and I wiped out Ronan Hederman. So it was a real success, to be honest, across the championship. I'm sure Ronan definitely agrees with me, and I'm sure that clip's not ready on his OBS anytime soon. But yeah, it was bad. I didn't hold my brakes. I will just own up to that one. It was a horrifying incident. But Dylan McClements did win the Formula V Championship almost with a round to spare, to be honest. Didn't really need to produce the results in Tsukuba in the flyaway round. For the second time in RTA history, he won a championship of 512 points. It was the exact same he scored when he defeated Ronan Doherty in the IndyCar Series. He will be looking to repeat the feat and become back-to-back champion for the first ever time. Interestingly enough, Dylan is not eligible for the scholarship prize as he's still too young. 2 years later, we're still harping on about how young Dylan McClements is.
I know, he must be sick of it at this point, and I'm sure his older brother Sean is well sick of it at this point, who had a small taster inside the Formula V's last year, which didn't last particularly long, but we won't harp on about that for too long. But needless to say, I know that Sean will be watching on. But unfortunately, not able to compete either in this championship, but Evan, for very different reasons.
Yeah, for very different. Well, no, he will be back for round 2, all going well. He is only suspended from iRacing for a week. I would love to say it was because of some good fate thing and because he saved a lost princess from a high tower or something and got his iRacing account banned as a sacrifice or something. But the real truth is he took out the race leader in an oval on the last lap while shouting, "Raise hell, praise Dale." So the less said about that, the better. But Sean McClements, thankfully, has a drop round to play with, so still will be in championship contention, as will his brother be. Sean also not eligible for the scholarship, of course, because he will, or has and will be racing in the Irish Formula V Championship in the future. Same for Conor Melia. But they're 3 that are arguably going to be favourites for the championship. So it is crucial to keep talking about them because we do have a sim racing championship on the line here. I believe there is a prize for the non-scholarship highest placed driver who will get a free entry for next season. So still something on the line for them, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it looked as a huge amount on the line, and it's great to finally see, I suppose, the sort of talent that we're seeing on our virtual screens every week, and I'm sure talent that we see in Mondello every time we go out down there. But I suppose the winter is one of those times where sim racing comes to the fore. A lot of the real world drivers used to brush up. Of course, during COVID, the world started to become closer and closer and closer to the point where I think any young driver now coming up through motorsport will be as adept on the sim as they are in real life and really understand how close those things are. I know obviously we talk about the Verstappen effect, but a lot of other drivers coming up, even our own Alex Dunn, who we mention often but never enough, and is looking forward to another year in F2 at Ronan Motorsport. He obviously was one of the competitors that we saw taking part in some of these events previously, so it's a great launch pad for young drivers who have the ability to be able to showcase that ability in front of an audience that are watching. I mean, we have obviously our regulars from RTA, but oftentimes we hear from real people that are kind of royalty in Irish motorsport almost. We're very lucky to have them watching our streams as well. So it's fantastic for these guys to be able to strut their stuff, and now with a real life prize at the end of it. But let's have a look at the track they're going to be competing on, Evan. I believe you took a little bit of time out from your broadcasting duties to show us around a lap here at Donington Park.
So let's ride on board with the fastest lap from last night's practice session. We're on board here with Peter McCann for a lap at Donington Park in the Formula V. Utilising the slipstream, it's worth the guts of 0.5 of a second around here, using all of the entrance for the first corner. Just heavy on the brakes before the end of the pit lane, using all of the curb on the inside of the corner, all of the curb on the outside of the corner, right to the limit of the blue and white. Time your upshift at about 6,500 RPM. just slightly glance the curbs down towards the old hairpin, the famous right-hander, picking up all that slipstream, a lift off the gas, a slight tap of the brakes just before the curb, turn in, use all of it there. You can run a little bit wider than Peter did, but he still finds the time nonetheless. In the slipstream, you've got to brave it out here heading up towards the Kreiner curves. Flick all the way to the left, keep to the left, dab on the brakes, downshift to third gear mid-corner, use all of that curb on the inside and rotate the car through. Now, on a traditional hot lap, you would run all the way out to the left. Now you're heading up to the right-hander. Use all of the curb on the inside. Foot down, power down on the inside of the corner, all the way out. Prepare yourself for the final chicane. You're looking for the blue and white barrier on the right-hand side. The start of that is when you begin to brake. You can just see it appear there, bang, right down on the brakes, down to third gear, just clip the red on the inside, avoid it on the outside, that'll chuck you off into the gravel trap, and that is a lap of Donington Park on board with Peter McCann. That is a 22.6. We'll be looking for slightly quicker in qualifying this evening.
So that was a lap around Donington Park, voiced over by Evan Dalton, but I feel bad for Peter McCann. I have to take that one back. That was actually Peter's lap, and it was the fastest lap of the session yesterday evening in the practice session as these guys got to go around the track. But Evan, obviously you've driven around this track a good bit. You've driven the V's a bit as well, being a free car in the service, and I know you're relatively new to the iRacing service, so I'm sure you've had a chance to jump in. So from your knowledge, what are the kind of things we're looking for in these Formula V? Is there a particular style that suits it well, or what kind of driving do you think will do well over the course of this 8-week championship?
Well, the big thing this evening is going to be slipstream. This is one of the easier tracks maybe to drive compared to some of the rookie offerings on the service, but slipstream is going to be the big thing here tonight. You can see the likes of Kevin Joyce getting a good tow there from Conor Melia down towards the chicane. Smooth and simple, really, in Donington. The Formula V, you don't have to slam on the brakes an awful lot. It's a lot of rolling the brake on, rolling the brake off, especially down here towards this first corner. You're looking almost for a little bit of a jab and then roll off through the corner. Nice and smooth. Keep it simple is my advice for these cars. Just keep it nice and smooth on entry. No real harsh movements. Don't push the car too early either. If your tyres are overheating, if your tyres are too cold, the car will not like that. And basically keep it on the asphalt. Don't pick up too many off tracks. It's very easy to do so, and they could cost you because, of course, you do have drive-throughs for a significant amount of off tracks. If you're new to iRacing and don't know what an off track is, basically exceeding track limits. You get so many warnings. Every time you do it, you pick up a 1X, which is classified as an off track. Then you pick up so many of them that you'll have to serve a drive-through.
And of course, it's not just about the penalties that you earn on track as well, but you know, part of this selection process involves an interview, and obviously the guys who will be selecting the car want the car to come back in one piece. So it's important that the drivers that are I suppose battling for those spots, the likes of Camto, the likes of Tony Griffin, Dara Halley, Robin Callahan, you know, who have all been competing, I think, pretty much are regular competitors. Certainly Camto, Dara and Robbie, names that I've seen very often. Travis Mawini is a new one, but these are all guys that will have to demonstrate their ability to keep the car on the asphalt, to keep the rubber side down, and to stay out of incidents, because Formula V racing is by its very nature very nip and tuck. It's very tightly contested. There's a lot of close encounter racing, and obviously, you know, iRacing, as all online games, suffers from is a certain amount of netcode. But you know, if you're crashing out regularly, it's probably not due to the netcode. So you have to be able to show those who are invigilating and those who are looking after who's getting what places, that you're not just able to drive fast, but you're also able to drive clean.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be narrowing this process down to 10 drivers towards the end of the season. So you've got to put your fast boots on pretty early. Travis Mawini in second position does actually have the benefit of, he's one of very few of the scholarship eligible drivers that have driven a season in a real car. He won the ICCR Junior Mini Scholarship last year, but a junior series, you are allowed to have raced in the junior series or karting and then move up. to Formula V. We're classifying it as a step up, so you are still eligible for the scholarship. So there's a good few karters, there's a good few junior racers here who are racing tonight, but we'll be going through them in plenty of detail. It's great to see as well the content creators of Ireland getting involved. We're looking at one now, Jackser, Jack Wynn, who has a big following in the chat, and of course Lawrence de Soswa, who has made the return as well from his expedition over to Le Mans Ultimate. He has decided to rejoin us here in RTA, and those two will be documenting their progress, as will our very own Ken Doyle, who's made some fabulous videos in past, and he'll be in the Ling Motorsports car, and I'm sure we'll be making some content on that as well.
Yeah, it's brilliant to see, and you know, like, funnily enough, we all come from different backgrounds and different types of things, and what I've seen a lot as somebody who's picked up the game of golf in the last couple of years, I know, boo, boring. It's the antithesis of motorsport, I know, but it's important to have balance in your life. Is that a lot of the content creators in that term, and I know a lot of them don't like that, you know, they are content creators, but what they do is so much more than content. There's a whole community aspect to it as well, particularly with Lawrence. I'm sure with Jackster as well, when you can see the comments in it, but I know Lawrence has really built a superb community around him, so it's not just about the content itself. But you know, like, you look at the YouTube golf space, and these guys who maybe not be good enough, mightn't be good enough to play on the PGA Tour, to play in the European Tour, the content that they're creating is so much more relevant for people of a certain generation. And it's really important that, you know, the likes of Jackser, the likes of Lawrence de Soswa, like, we talk about the real world drivers, and we talked about that COVID spurt where we had a lot of them getting involved, and that's important too, because it gives the discipline legitimacy. But it's really the likes of Lawrence, it's the likes of Jackser, it's the likes of Ken Doyle and others that really kind of, I suppose, are almost the front facing people when it comes to our discipline. You know, you look at the likes of Jimmy Broadbent or RTA or all these people. When somebody goes to look up sim racing, they're probably going to go to YouTube first to find out about it, and the first people they're going to come across is those, or maybe Dave Cam or those likes. And those are the ambassadors of sim racing, in the same way that the real drivers or real racers are the ambassadors of their own series. So, you know, I think the contribution that these content creators make, and oftentimes it can be a dirty word unfairly, but you make a huge contribution to our discipline. So, delighted to see them involved, and really looking forward to seeing how they get on over the course of this championship.
Yeah, it'd be great. Be great to see how they put it up to the main drivers. Right then, we have 2.5 minutes left in qualifying, and Brandon McGaughan has put in an absolute barnstormer of a lap, 22.3. Definitely a slipstream involved in that one, as you can see. Picking up the toe of the very man we were talking about, Lawrence de Soswa. Travis Mawhinney in second, then it is Harvey Dowrett in third, and we have some big names struggling in this one. Conor Melia finds himself down in 13th position. Dylan McClemens finds himself in 8th. Peter McCann down in 18th position. So qualifying is not being very simple for these guys tonight. Brandon with a great lap though, but really 0.3 of a second pace is not going to save you in terms of the slipstream onslaught we expect come the drop of the green flag. Like, look at this is racing already. These guys are just fighting to put in the qualifying time. It's difficult enough to find a slipstream. You wouldn't think it, given we have the guts of 35, 36 cars out on track, but it is difficult to find someone who's willing to tow you around for the lap.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, you can find plenty of cars, but how many of them are actually willing to give you a tow is a separate question altogether. I want to get to what we're going to bring you this evening. I know a lot of you who've joined us may not be familiar with the format that we have for the RTA Championship, the V Scholarship Series. It is no different to what we have for the rest of our series. Race 1 is a 10-minute affair with the grid set by qualifying, but if you don't do well in qualifying, fear not. Still chances to move up in Race 2, where the grid is set by Race 1. That's 15 minutes, and then the top 8 reverse. 8 goes to first, and first goes to 8th, and all the others swap for the last feature race, 20 minutes. They're all worth the same amount of points, so it's really about getting a consistent run all the way through. As we say, drive-throughs at 15x, disqualifying at 20x, and that can come into it, particularly when off-tracks are involved. You pick up a rogue 4x, and all of a sudden you find yourself under pressure for that drive-through. So that is the format that we have. We're going to have 30 seconds. I was hoping to get to the calendar for the year, but I don't think that's going to happen, as that is Harvey Dara slamming himself into the barriers on the final run there. He wasn't going to put in a faster lap, though, I don't think. So he ends up finishing in third for the moment. Right, let's have a quick look at the calendar before we get to the end of the qualifying. So we're starting in Donington Park. Next week we move back across the Atlantic to Lime Rock, and then back over to the UK, 2 rounds in a row, Silverstone National and Brands Hatch Indy, which is a RTA favourite. Then we have Road Atlanta, Okayama, Hockenheim in Germany, and finishing off with Sebring, as we just come to the conclusion of qualifying, and Evan, Brandon McGahan's lap is enough.
Yeah, great qualifying for Brandon McGahan. He'll start on the front row alongside Travis Mawhinney. Harvey Dara then will start third on RTA debut alongside Jan Zeltavella. Then it is Camto Chukwa in fifth, ahead of Tony Griffin. In sixth position, Dara Halley starts from seventh. Then it's Dylan McClemens and Eamon Dempsey, eighth and ninth, ahead of Robbie Callahan in 10th. Conor Melia starts up from the sixth row in 11th alongside Pavlo Kishkan. And it is Sean McGoldrick in 13th. Kevin Joyce 14th, ahead of Ken Doyle, Jack Wynne, Dermot Toomey, Peter McCann, Andy Middleton, and Lee Coogan rounding out the top 20. And then just below that, Lee O'Brien in 21st, Lorcan Walsh in 22nd, ahead of Lawrence de Salsma, Dara O'Connor, Jake O'Regan, Ross Wheatley, Paul O'Mahony, Sean Smith, Jamal Gandor, Jared Thornton, Aidan Fagan ahead of Niall Leahy, Adam Kearney, Guivian Brennan, Brian Rowan, Conan Weirn, and Ronan Keane in 37th position. Dare I say the biggest grid we've had in the Gantry TV era of RTA, certainly.
Yeah, absolutely. Biggest grid I can remember. And interestingly, both Conan Weirn and Ronan Keane not able to get a lap time in over that 15 minutes. That is a bad start to their season. So a lot of work for those guys to do. Yeah, it's going to be a really, really interesting championship. Evan, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to put you on the spot. What do you reckon? Do we have any front runners for this championship from your experience of watching these guys, both in the sim and in real life?
Dylan, Travis, Brandon, Connor. 4 names I'll give to you. Travis Mooney was very impressive last season, won multiple races. Now, there wasn't the same calibre of grid last season because, of course, we were it was almost a bit of a preparation championship for what is going to be a monster 8-week campaign. But keep an eye on Travis. Certainly keep an eye on the prodigy Dylan McClemens, who starts a little bit down the order, but the 5 red lights are coming on for the first time in the RTA Formula V Ireland Series here at the first permanent park circuit in England. We go racing, and let's let battle commence down towards the first corner. Brilliant launch by Brandon McGahan. He is ahead well and truly. Travis Mawhinney is under pressure from Harvey Dara in towards turn number 1. There's a lot of shufflers and shakers, but it seems like we are safely through for the most part. It's the run down towards the old hairpin through the famous Craner curves that is going to pose some problems for some in the midfield. But Brandon McGahan, what a start that is. 0.4 of a second ahead. Single file, we snake our way through. It is a lot cleaner than I expected.
Yeah, and I no doubt we will have accidents as we see the first one there. Conor Melia, championship contender early on, getting caught out in through the Craner curves. Not entirely sure, not through the Craner curves, sorry. That was through the old hairpin. Not exactly sure what happened there, but he rejoins the track, but he's lost a good few places now. But overall, very clean start from this grid. Great stuff in what is a tricky track, very tight and narrow beginning, especially with cold tyres, but these guys getting it done. Brandon McGahan is just over a 10th ahead of Travis Mawhinney, but Travis has a good gap now to Camto and a few cars between those two as well. So in terms of the scholarship series, Travis is in pole position for the moment.
Yeah, you saw what the start Brandon got in the first lap, and still it's 0.2 of a second of the line. So that's what the slipstream will be here. This is going to be a very fast-paced 10 minutes. And Brandon McGahan is the leader, and there's a load gone off. Someone gone on the barrier. A bumblebee has taken flight, and that is Lee O'Brien, I think, who has ended up on top of the Armco. A load diving for the pit lane. We have a big shuffle up on the grid. Brian Rowan potentially involved in that as well, as was Lorcan Walsh. Conor Melia then down 13 places. One of your biggest losers. Here we go. We're free abreast down the Craner curves. Camto Chukwa, Dara Halley involved in it as well with Jan Zoutavella, and they're going to still be too wide entering in towards the old hairpin. Who's going to come out on top on this one? Dara Halley keeps the foot in, but it is the Dutchman who perseveres now. Harvey Dara involved in this as well. He's going round the outside. Dylan McClemens is in the middle of a 3 abreast, heading up towards the right-hander of McLean's. Who's bravest on the brakes? It will be Zoutavella who gets out on top, but we're still free wide on exit, Kevin.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy stuff, and Zoutevella was definitely entitled to that position. Was the only man who kept all four wheels on the tarmac all the way through that sequence of corners, and manages to get himself up into third place. But this is absolutely breathtaking stuff. We're only 2.5 minutes into the very first heat of the season, and we're already seeing three wide going down through the Craner curves. Now Dara looks like he's going to miss out there to Dylan McClements, who's slipping in. Dylan, you said keep an eye out for him. Dylan's already up 3 places. Big losers along here is, for the moment, is Conor Melia. He's down 15 places. Pablo Kishkan is down 19 places. Andy Middleton, Peter McCann, Lorcan Walsh, Leo O'Brien, all caught up in that big incident, as was Diarmuid Toomey, I think. But ahead of those, then, some of the big winners so far, we have Lawrence de Soswa, who's battling there in the midfield, and he's in screen there now. All right, at the moment, you can see them all go up and down and around the timing screen as they go through the first corner here at Donington, and down through the Craner curves. We're too wide. Is it kind of 2 by 2 by 2? It's a bit like Noah's Ark here. Hopefully, no disasters for any of these drivers as Lawrence slips down the inside. He's trying to get the jump on Ross Wheatley. Not a huge amount of scholarship entitled drivers involved in this battle, but a great battle nonetheless. Niall Leahy's up 14, by the way. Ronan Keane up 18. Paul O'Mahony up 14. Jake O'Regan up 13. As there's some seriously close driving going on here, Evan. But this is what you'd expect with the Formula V's.
Yeah, good move that from Lawrence. Very easy to wash out in the exit of that corner, but he's kept it nice and tight and got the move done. Brandon McGaughan very late on the brakes, hammers down on his Formula V brake pads, and Travis Mawhinney is going to try and get the exit out of the chicane, which he absolutely has. And you can just see now, this is what the slipstream does. That is Travis Mawhinney, who we're on board with, looking back at Zoutevella and Harvey Dara in the Banana V, just behind there. So middle of the road, they both take. Not much defending going on as Brandon McGaughan. Where is McGaughan gone? Oh, he's just on the outside there. Thought he might have gone off in the first corner, but Brandon doesn't make too many mistakes. Picked up his first RTA win here, of course, at Donington Park, back in the Super Formula Light. So keep an eye on Brandon in a single-seater, in any sort of machinery, really. He is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, this is like the cavalry coming over the hill here as we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars trying to share a very, very tight piece of tarmac. I would be amazed if all of these guys managed to get through unscathed, but for the moment it's looking okay. We're pretty much too wide, 3 in a row, as Dylan McClements makes more places. I thought McClements was out of it, a little bit out of it, because he was 6 tenths behind going down the main straight. Oh, is that contact? There's a little bit of tyre rubbing there between Campto Chukwe and I think Dara Halley. But just about the two of them get through it unscathed. But yeah, I thought Dylan McClements was out of it. But now look at him, McClements. He's trying to move down the inside of Harvey Dara. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. McClements getting it done very easily against Dara, who's now out of position, which is going to open up the door for Campto Chukwe to have a go.
Yeah, mistake there for Dara. Broke way too late into the chicane. That allowed Dylan McClements to swoop through. And now Campto Chukwe is going to try it round the outside here. The 4-time Racing Prodigy Search finalist. A lot of experience in a simulator. One of very few who can call themselves a professional on this island. And he's just pulled off the switchback on Harvey Dara. Now heading down the Craner curves is Dara Halley in his infamous Ryanair livery, going to look to soar past these two. It's going to have to be very brave on a corner that there's not much braking. It's a lift at best. In 4th gear, Dara Halley slides down the inside. That is an absolute beauty of a move on the Briton, and that is now 5th position.
Yeah, that's a great move altogether. And speaking of flying, that is absolutely a great example of it there. Right into 5th position, even though Dara loses out again there, unfortunately, coming up over the hill there at Coppice and down into the Starseas Strait. So, looks like a bit of a breakaway group here with Brandon McGaughan, Travis Mawhinney and Dylan McClements, because you have about a second then back to Campto Chukwe. The front 3 profiting from all the battling going on behind them. A good gaggle then going down as far as Jan Zoutevella, and then a bit of a gap then between himself and Sean McGoldrick, and the biggest gap between Kevin Joyce and Jake O'Regan between 11 and 12. So you've Mawhinney, Chukwe, Griffin, and Callahan and Joyce, who are all still in with the chance here as we tick towards 3 minutes. And do remember, of course, for that final race, 8th place goes to first. So obviously that doesn't come into play for this race. But if you're up and around those positions, you have a good chance of starting towards the front of the grid come the final race of the evening. And it looks like Brandon McGahan's going to get that first place back against Mawhinney. Another up and under there, executed perfectly by McGahan. A bit of an RTA veteran now at this stage as a number 23 car, as he leads us round into lap number 6.
Yeah, this is your top 3, so they are fighting for the race win, and then there is a bit of a gap back towards Camto Chukwa, Harvey Dara, or sorry, that's Robbie Callahan, who we were actually looking at there in the tricolour livery, as per usual, is the Kildare man. There's Brandon McGahan down the inside of Mawhinney, and we know Brandon and Dylan do like to work together from time to time, so it'll be interesting to see, do the two Antrim natives work together and try drop Travis back into the pack, but they're still side by side all the way through Coppice and down Starkey straight in towards the final chicane. Look at this, Dylan McClements has the slipstream. That got very close for a second. They are free abreast, first, second and third. It's going to be a test of bravery into the chicane. Dylan breaks slightly earlier than Brandon, and that's almost too early because Travis Mawhinney is able to flip down the inside, but Mawhinney's run wide, and that is into the grass, and Dylan McClements is around. Airborne goes Dara Helly upside down, and that is a big moment in this race. 2 of the top 3 falling at the Goodwood chicane.
Yeah, I didn't quite get a view on what happened there, so we'll have to go back and have a look on our Gantry TV replay for the latest series. Going into the final chicane, let's have a look at this. Let's keep an eye on McClements. So McClements coming around the outside, he's Brandon on the inside. Then Travis tries to move, but Dylan ends up on the sausage curb on the outside, and then and Dara decides to make a split-second decision, which doesn't work out for him, unfortunately. All of the rest of them survive unscathed. I think Dylan was trying to defend against Travis there, but just cut a little bit too much off those sausage curbs, and they are absolutely lethal in these machines if you get too close to them.
Yeah, surprised there wasn't more who made contact with Dylan McClements there. That's awful unlucky for both of them. Both were running very well, but goes to show, if you want a big result here in this RTA Scholarship Series, you literally have to be millimetre perfect for the full duration of the race. 9 minutes and 30 seconds. We will get one more lap round this. It's going to be probably the quietest lap of the season for Brandon McGahan, all going well. He leads by 9/10 of a second. The battles are raging on in the backpack though, and this is Camto Chukwa fighting with Harvey Dara for second position and the final podium spot. Someone pulled off to the right hand side there, didn't quite catch who that was. That is Paul O'Mahony losing a spot in the background. White flag raises. Harvey Dara down the inside, or outside I should say, and gets past Camto. No, Camto fights back.
Yeah, Camto's always going to fight back, isn't he? Good banana, bad banana, doesn't matter what kind of banana you are. If Camto isn't giving you the position, despite Harvey's superb livery, it must be said. We love going through the liveries. We'll go through them later on this evening, but some great ones already I can spot. But this is a superb battle because in the background you've Jan just waiting for an opportunity to snipe the Dutchman, looking to keep the Dutch success in motor racing going. A very proud tradition in not just Formula racing, of course, for Max Verstappen, but also in endurance racing too, with the Jumbo team are very successful. So motorsport running through the veins of a lot of people in the Netherlands. So Jan trying to keep that tradition going. Tony Griffin though slipped by him in amongst all my patriotic talk, and it looks like Camto and Tony are going to be the top 2 for the scholarship series, but it remains to be seen what will happen here, because Tony might try for a late go down Camto's outside if he can. No, it looks like it's going to be line and stern as Brandon McGahan crosses the line, gets through the final corner and becomes our first ever Formula V Championship Scholarship Series winner for 2026. Brandon McGahan in the 23 car, leading Harvey Dara. Then Camto Chukwa puts himself in prime position for those places, followed by Tony Griffin, then Jan Zaltavella, Travis Mawhinney, Sean McGoldrick, Kevin Joyce, Robbie Callahan and Jake O'Regan. And Evan, Travis was in a great position, just unfortunately that mistake in the chicane, that last lap, has really put paid to his chances.
Yeah, absolutely. He did well to recover to 6th. Dylan not getting away As fortunate, we'll end this one down in 27th. We're still looking on board here with Lee Coogan, who is fighting with Adolf Fagan. This is for 26th position, which is still important, would you believe, because of course it decides your starting position for the next race, and Lee has made a butt job of that. Did well to save it, did Lee, and he will come home. Or will he come home ahead of Ronan Keane? No, I think he's going to lose the spot there, so didn't get away with that moment in the chicane, unfortunately. But Brandon McGahan, what can you say? Excellent. Didn't make a mistake when others around him did, and came home with what I feel is going to be a dominant win, given how close the gap seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to Brandon, started on pole position and led a lot of the race. Unfortunately, did end up getting sucked into that battle a little bit, just due to how many competitive drivers there were around him. But fair play to Brandon for avoiding the all of those. I'm still kind of surprised by Dara Halley's decision to turn left at that moment when there's a few other drivers had gone through that gap left by Dylan being stuck in the middle of the road. But Dara decided to turn left, and unfortunately that put him in a position where there was nowhere for him to go. But yeah, let's go through our first heat results, because it won't be long before we're on to the second one.
Yeah, we keep things moving quickly here. Let's run through the results. Brandon McGahan is your race winner. Harvey Dara in second. Canto Chukwa in third. Tony Griffin in fourth, ahead of Jean Zethevela. Travis Mouini then comes home in sixth, and it is Sean McGolder, Kevin Joyce, Robbie Callaghan, Jake O'Regan, Dara O'Connor, Lawrence Sosworth, Paul O'Mahony, Ken Doyle, Ross Wheatley, Niall Leahy, Queeveen Brennan. Then it is Jack Wynne, Jamal Gandor, and Emma Dempsey in your top 20. We don't have time to run through the rest because the 5 lights are ready, and Heat 2 is going to get underway. Let's let battle commence here at Donington, and Brandon McGahan gets another good launch, and he's got the guts of 0.5 of a second over Harvey Dara before we even reach Redgate at turn number 1. There's going to be a lot of drivers trying to make up big positions on this opening lap, as they know how messy it can get on lap number 2. Travis Mouini is one of them. He's pitched to the outside curb. Someone's gone off there in the background. I think it's Adolf Fagan who's losing positions. Conor Mealy has not had the best of starts either.
Yeah, Robbie Callaghan, I think it's going off there. Your fellow Kildare man, unfortunately, getting it all kinds of wrong on the opening corner. But it's Brandon McGahan who leads Harvey Dara, Canto Chukwa, then Tony Griffin. As we say, just to bear in mind here, we said it for the opening race, but this is particularly to bear in mind for this race. If you finish 8th position, as if you were Sean McGoldrick at the moment, you would start the final race in 1st position. So 8th, it's a reverse grid from 8th to 1st for the final race. So just bear that in mind as we're watching things go along. Oftentimes being in 6th or 7th or 8th can actually prove to be more beneficial than finishing 3rd or 4th. Right, here's Harvey Dara. We're looking at him at the moment, but he's followed by a whole gaggle of other cars. Campto, Tony, Jan, Travis trying to get involved, and everyone fanning out down the back straight. But we're not going to be able to go 3 wide into the final chicane. So who blinks first? It looks like Campto's going to get through, followed by Harvey, then Travis Mouini, then Tony Griffin, followed by Jan, Kevin, Sean McGoldrick, Jake O'Regan, and Dara O'Connor. And apart from Robbie getting it unfortunately wrong, and there was a few others as well who dropped back from the front runners, it's been very clean thus far, Evan.
Yeah, very clean indeed. Kevin Joyce going for the outside on Jean Zethevela, and not going to be able to pull that one off in his Crayola livery. The crayon will head down the Craner curve. There's Niall Leahy, who has just made contact with Dermot Toomey. 2 Irish carters. Niall going to be making his debut in the Tillotson Series next year. Dermot, of course, has been doing a couple of rounds last season. They're side by side, heading down these Craner curves, and there's a whole gaggle involved here with these as well. Niall Leahy has that crucial inside line, but will be swooped past by Emma Dempsey. Jack Wynne almost giving him a bit of a bump draft. Creative tactics here in the Formula V's. Paul O'Mahony there in the purple and blue machine, and it's Lee Coogan in the black and blue. 2 by 2 they go. Conor Mealy is just sitting and waiting for an opportunity to arise, but he can't wait too long because he's got Peter McCann who's looking to try get down his inside. Conor Mealy trying to pull the switchback on 3 or 4 cars here, and it is 3 abreast, and Conor Mealy using his real world V experience down the inside of Lee Coogan, and himself and Peter McCann have just made absolute mincemeat of that whole pack, and they charge on through.
Yeah, well, that's the experience. I mean, these guys know this championship. This isn't the first Tuesday night they've spent in front of their computer screens racing, and shown every bit of that experience there. These 2 wily old foxes, particularly for Peter McCann. He's definitely old. Whatever about the other 2. That is, not sure who that was went off there, but they've managed to avoid causing further contact. It's Emma Dempsey there. Thankfully, didn't cause any further contact. But yeah, you could just see how, I think at the back of that pack is a Paul O'Mahony or probably Niall Leahy actually, in the tricoloured machine. He it was just a weird line from him as he went through down here towards the old hairpin. Just kind of got the wrong line, and he ended up backing up a load of other people behind him, which opened the door. And it just goes to show that kind of butterfly effect when there's so many cars racing. It only takes one car to kind of affect the line of 3 or 4 others. So sometimes it's not even something that you do. You just need to be in the right place at the right time. Certainly in the right place, not necessarily at the right time at the moment for him, but certainly in the right place is Travis Mawhinney, who moved up to first position for the moment, but he's going to be hunted down by this eager pack who are line and stern here, all the way from 1 all the way down to 10. I think the top 10 fitting within a letter, I think, pretty much an envelope-sized shape there of your screen, which gives you a great example as to how competitive they are here. As Tony Griffin, we're going to go side by side there between Griffin and Jan Zoutfella, and it looks like Zoutfella has got the work done. Good job there from the Dutchman to get it done in the final curve, but he can't be doing too much of that because that's not always going to end out positively for him.
It's actually Kevin Joyce who braved it on the brakes there. So Kevin is one of the scholarship drivers. He has been in RTA for quite some time, has been around these parts for the guts of a few years now, but is racing for the scholarship. So Kevin knows there's a prize on the line, and that was a gutsy move down the inside. But as you said, other Kevin, that's not going to work most of the time. So pulled it off at the right moment. There goes Sean McGoldrick, the 2 yellow liveries swapping around. It is Harvey Dara in the banana, and then it is Sean McGoldrick in the Valentino Rossi scheme, heading up the hill in towards the right hand there. And Sean McGoldrick, a very composed and reserved V racer, will wait for the right time to make the move, and he feels that time is now. Harvey Dara runs a little bit wide, and Sean McGoldrick is on that crucial inside line, tucked into the slipstream of the front 3. Will stay behind for now, though. Harvey Dara persevering. Brandon McGaughan, it seems like he's going to fancy leading this race, looking to lead from the front. Is Brandon. A lot of real world racing experience, a lot of sim experience as well for Brandon, so he knows where he performs best, and that is in first position. Just pulls back over to the racing line and is in first. Look at that for a snake of Formula V's.
Yeah, and interesting as well, one of the things that's come up in the latest iRacing update is the amount of dust you see being thrown up on track when drivers go to brake, and it was almost thought that somebody had locked up there, but it just goes to show the amount of dust. Just look at that for a picture. We go 3 wide into the opening corners, 1, 2 and 3 side by side, but it's Travis Mawhinney again who gets through, but it looks like Camto has stolen in ahead of Brandon McGaughan. Brandon is keeping his nose right in there. Of course, started this race in first position, started the last race in first position, and ended in first position after quite some contact. So Brandon knows he has to stay in it, and he manages to swoop down the inside of Camto Chukwe, and Brandon takes that position for the moment. But look at the amount of traffic behind him. It's incredible that these guys have managed to go this long without taking each other out. But as we said, being safe, being consistent, staying out of trouble is an exceptionally important part to these guys if they want to try and earn that spot on the grid at Mondello later on this year.
Yeah, you can tell that there's something extra in this season. It's almost like someone's dropped something in the water around Castle Donington, but it's not. It's just ambition. It's just the potential of becoming a real world racing driver for some of these guys. Well, for the most part, most of them are not actually scholarship eligible, so it is literally just for the passion of RTA racing. There goes Harvey Dara. That's a massive lunge down the inside of Camto Chukwe as we're having a look at the foggy S's there. And Brandon McGaughan comes out on top, and Harvey Dara, Sean McGoldrick still weaving 3, 4 abreast. Starting the 6-lapper proceedings. We've 8 minutes to go, still over halfway here in this one, so no need to get too rash too early. The likes of Conor Amelia and Peter McCann in the background will be looking at this though, and will sense an opportunity here. A crash amongst these. Oh, just as we say it! Jan Zoutfella, who's gone up, just as we said, there could be a crash. Lawrence de Souza and Tony Griffin might have made contact there as well, but it's Griffin who's fallen down the order.
Yeah, it's Griffin, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but it was somebody. I'm not sure if that was a lapped car that got involved there, trying to get out of the way and ended up crashing into them. It was somebody went off the track. Anyway, let's have a look at the RTA Motorsport replay. Let's have a look here now. So there's somebody bins it on the outside. Yeah, I think that's a lapped car. Oh, no. Oh God. And that number is that's number 5. That is that's Tony Griffin. Tony Griffin, who was obviously one of our scholarship eligible drivers, running right up at the front of the pack, and unfortunately being caught out by lap traffic that probably shouldn't be on the racing line, let's be honest. But that's something for the stewards to look into. They haven't had too much to worry about at the moment, but that's certainly an incident that stewards are going to have to look at. This lap 6 incident in this consolation, but we say it's wrapped as a consolation race, but it's just a second heat. As Travis Mawhinney is a 6/10 gap now, and Brandon and Sean are sucked into this battle behind, so it's a great opportunity here for the 21 car to try and make some clear distance here. And oh, that's contact, that's big contact, that Sean McGoldrick gone off. Sean McGoldrick pushed off in the Valentino Rossi livery, and the two yellow machines come together, and unfortunately for McGoldrick, he's going down the standings like the yellow submarine.
Disappointing for McGoldrick, who was running very, very well. Always a consistent front runner, 7th in the championship last season. He's just been clipped there by Harvey Dara, and that is the first corner causing problems again. So one of the heaviest braking zones, it's between that and the chicane for heaviest braking zones on the circuit, is the one causing the problems, and that is very disappointing for McGoldrick. If you're going to have contact in the heat, you'd probably rather it in the first one than the second one, because that is his heat 3 starting position, heavily affected now, but still has some time to try and work it through the order. We're on board here with Camto Chukwa heading through Coppice down on the Starkey Straight. Brilliant camera, this one. You can get a real test of what the drivers are seeing. If you're unfamiliar to iRacing, this is almost it, apart from you will be in the middle of the screen unless you have some sort of weird sim setup. But into the chicane, you can see not much of a visual on it for Camto Chukwa. There we go, that's definitely what Camto is looking at currently on his monitor, heading down towards the first corner, and it's going to be Brandon McGaughan who will look to take the race lead once again. Conor Melia, Peter McCann, just have to keep an eye on them in 11th and 12th, up 13 and 17 positions respectively, and they are lurking and waiting for an opportunity to arise in front in this final 5 minutes.
Yeah, and exactly, like you look at Conor Melia, and obviously he had a mistake in the opening very first lap which pushed him back, and there's such a big grid here, it's so hard to battle your way through. But now that Conor's managed to stay relatively clean and he's taken some of those opportunities, he finds himself in a position where he could very well find himself starting the final race at the top of the grid and turning what was a fairly average evening into an otherwise excellent evening. So there's huge chances here. Once you don't make your mistake very, very late on, even if you get it done in the earlier on in the race, but you know you have the pace to make your way back, there are still opportunities over the course of the evening, which is one of the reasons why we like this fast-paced 3-heat series, as opposed to going for the all-out longer races or 2 feature races. The 3 shorter races tend to work. Now, here's Jan Zoutvela. He looks like he's going to overtake Harvey Dara. Gets that move done, does Jan, and he's up into 3rd position now, the Dutchman, and Harvey's under pressure from Camto. And just to say as well, Brandon McGaughan, he was part of this group almost, coming across the line 2 laps ago, and all of a sudden finds himself leading the race. So huge kudos to Brandon for a hugely battling performance, and certainly Brandon's outright pace is really rapid in these machines, so could very much be another contender for the championship this year. We're looking at Camto and Harvey heading down the Craner curves now. Harvey already involved, I think, was it Harvey or was it Darrow Connor involved with, it was Harvey, yeah, involved in the incident earlier on with Sean McGoldrick. So Harvey will be keen to stay out of trouble as we head up in towards the upper part of this track here at Donington, coming back up the hill. Right, Evan, 3 minutes to go. A huge gap now between Brandon McGaughan and Travis Mawhinney. Surely, for Travis' point of view, another 2nd position puts him in a great spot. He won't be pushing too hard on Brandon, you'd have to imagine.
No, Travis doesn't work together with people. He has made that statement. He made that statement multiple times last season. He wants to win races. He has the racing driver mindset. There's not going to be much working together here between these two, I feel. Maybe for a couple of laps, but certainly once this comes to the last lap, the elbows are out, the punches are being thrown, and it is a heavyweight boxing match between these two at the front. You can see Travis pulling out of the slipstream, fancies leading from the front, and he's going to try put Brandon in the corner and start the spar early on here. Jan Zoutvela in 3rd, in a very comfortable 3rd. We'll be hoping something goes wrong between the two. Kevin Joyce now, side by side with Camto Chukwa and Harvey Dara. Chukwa going for the outside, driving a very, very smart race is Camto. His RTA experience is kicking in. He's been around these parts for quite some time now. Took a little bit of a break when he was studying for his leaving cert, but he's back on the pedals now. and is driving very smart indeed. A little bit of an error there for Brandon, just clipped the inside curb. If you take too much of that, you can find yourself off in the sand trap on the outside, so got to be too careful, but there's got to be a fight here between these two.
Yeah, it's going to be a great battle, and this is the thing. It's a long season, so every point counts, and we've seen that before. Like we have commentated on series where drivers have literally won uh, down to I think they were actually even level on points, and it came back to a
Yeah,
countback.
Jason and
So
Ronan.
Jason and Ronan. So it just goes to show you how tight these championships could be. So every single point matters in every single race. So you really have to try and make the best of what you have. You're not going to win every single race, especially with a grid of 39 or something. You're going to occasionally get caught up in a few scuffles, but you have to try and squeeze every last drop out of every race, because that last point could be enough to decide whether you get that place or whether you get that championship win. And speaking of
Oh,
two guys who are taking that to the nth degree, look at Conor Melia here. He's gone into 7th position now as Conor. I thought he might have an eye on 8th, but he's gone one even better than that, as Conor's got the inside line here. He's going to have the advantage heading down the hill, and he's got it
oh.
in ahead of the Harvey Dara and Kevin Joyce, who Kevin's going to stick his nose back in, and he's got to make it work. Conor now is a little bit vulnerable down the inside of the old hairpin as Dara tries to go around the outside, and we're very, very tight as we head up towards the up the hill again. This,
Oh, look
Evan,
at
is
this.
exceptionally close.
Look at this between Conor Melia, Harvey Dara and Kevin Joyce. The top two are fighting as well, but it seems like it's Mawhinney's to lose. Harvey Dara runs wide here through the right-hander. What a moment that was heading up the hill. They were almost 4 abreast at one point. Brandon McGaughan, is he going to try brave it out on the brakes? Mawhinney pulls out the IndyCar weaving. And look at Jean Zoutevella, who's gotten involved in this as well. Brandon McGaughan pitches to the outside. Mawhinney breaks the later. It's too much as he got over the chicane. No, it's precise, it's precision at its finest. And Brandon McGaughan is tucked in the slipstream. Who's going to win this one? Travis Mawhinney. What a last lap. What a push through that chicane. It was perfect to 0.02 of a second. Kamto Chukwu fourth. Crucial reverse grid pole goes to Harvey Dara.
Oh, what an incredible race. It's just insane racing between these guys, and it continues down the grid as we see Aidan Fagan and Lee O'Brien going right at it. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? The Bumblebee ended up in the barrier earlier on. He's going to end up behind his rival, and he's going to be pipped by Adam Carney, who comes out of nowhere. Can he take Aidan Fagan as well at the line? Adam Carney does it. That's superb work from the 37 machine right at the end, coming from nowhere to overtake as Emma Dempsey takes the rallycross line, I think, through the final chicane and onto the front straight. But what an incredible race, right down to the end, right all the way from front to back in the grid. And eventually it is one of our V Scholarship eligible drivers, Travis Mawhinney, who finishes on top. What a superb race.
That was an absolute cracker. And we will hopefully hear from Travis, Brandon, and maybe Jean in a few moments. But we will run you through the order very, very quickly. It's a long enough one, so we got to run through it. Travis Mawhinney takes the win. Brandon McGaughan in second. And Jean Zoutevella in third. Kamto Chukwu in fourth. Then it is Kevin Joyce, Conor Melia, Peter McCann. 18 positions for Melia gained. 22 for Peter McCann. Harvey Dara in eighth. And Dara O'Connor ninth. Jack Wynn in 10th position. Jack and LD 10th and 11th for the two resident streamers. And then our YouTuber Ken Doyle in 12th. Jake O'Regan in 13th, ahead of Sean McGoldrick, Ross Wheatley, Paul O'Mahony, Jamal Gandor. Then it is Queeveen Brennan, who is in 18th, ahead of Adam Carney, and Aidan Fagan we saw getting that position in 20th place. Leo O'Brien in 21st, Dylan McClemens 22nd, Sean Smith, Ronan Keane, Robbie Callahan, Andy Middleton, Gerard Thornton, Emma Dempsey, Lee Coogan, Lorcan Walsh, Niall Leahy, Dara Halley, Tony Griffin, Dermot Toomey, Pablo Kishkam, Brian Rowan, and Conan Wern. Let's hear from your race winner for heat number 2, Travis Mawhinney. Travis, congratulations on your first win of the season in Heat 2. You said last season that you don't plan on working together with people on last laps. That certainly proved it. Talk us through the winning moments. Not sure if we can hear Travis. There is a green light on Discord, but we can't unfortunately hear you, Travis.
All right.
No,
Nope.
no audio for Travis, unfortunately. So we may have to skip that, which is disappointing given he won the race. But second place, Brandon McGaughan with Kevin.
I feel a bit bad for Evan because he had the opportunity to interview Travis there, and Travis's audio didn't work. But Brandon, I'm sure some of the RTA lads would hope sometimes your mic could be muted. But a second place finish, you finished first in the opening race. You started on pole for both races. It's pretty clear you have the pace around here.
Yeah, I mean, I always loved Donington. Love it in real life, love it in the sim. So good start to the championship. Hopefully this last race I can come up from 7th and get another good result. Hopefully come out here leading the championship.
It was exceptionally tight between yourself and Travis at the end. Travis just pipping you, but this grid, the largest definitely we've commentated on. It makes for really, really hectic racing, but not just hectic racing, hectic qualifying.
Oh yeah, to be fair, that race was brilliant. You know, had a good close race with Travis and somehow stayed nice and clean. And then qualifying was hectic. I mean, I got pulled by quite a bit, but I just happened to get a good toe. You know, I just caught myself in the right part of the track at the right time and got a got a toe off a few cars. So it really makes a big difference in these V's because there's so little power. The toe's everything. Same in the race. I mean, unless you can get to like 1.3 or 1.4 seconds, the guy behind is just going to toe right back up to you.
And I suppose like this championship is, we've obviously commentated on you plenty of times and plenty of championships, and they all mean it, and you're trying just as hard for all of them. But the the, the potential for obviously that step into real world, you can see how it kind of focuses everybody a little bit more. Is it right? Is that fair to say?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, I'd say the quality of driving. Obviously, there was a couple of crashes there, but you know, the quality of driving seems pretty good. I mean, nobody really wants to. None of the eligible drivers for the scholarship are going to want to do anything silly and kind of hinder their chances. And then obviously, you know, the guys like me that aren't eligible, you know, we don't want to go and ruin anything for them. So I think everyone's trying to race nice and clean.
Brilliant. Well, Brandon, clean but fast, and certainly great results. First in the first race, second in the second race, hopefully not third in the third race. Great driving thus far, and looking forward to chatting to you soon over the course of the season.
Come on, cheers.
And finally, Evan Dalton is joined by Jan Zoutevella, one of our debutants, and a man who's already left a big impression on the season.
Yeah, firstly, Jan, welcome to RTA. Welcome to Gantry TV. How did you find your first two heats with us?
Man, they were insane. It was so close, like 3-4 wide multiple times. I'm just glad I did not crash out.
Sim racing and karting and racing, obviously a big thing in the Netherlands. How did you find wheeling around with a few Irish boys for the evening?
I actually met Camto like at Sim Formula at an expo last year, and also through him and through, of course, the big Insta account Bois, I found out that I could drive this to maybe get a scholarship. So I thought, why not?
Heading into Heat 3 then, of course, it's a reverse top 8, so you'll have a little bit more work to do. What's the plan of action?
Not die. That's
Fair
honestly
enough.
the plan. Yeah.
Respectable plan. Jean, we'll let you go and get ready for Heat number 3. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So good to hear from second and third there. Didn't quite get to hear from Travis, but look, if he performs the way he is, Kevin, I'm sure we'll be hearing from him in a couple of minutes' time.
Yeah, exactly. He'd want to get his mic sorted if he plans to continue with the same results that he has at the moment, because we will be certainly getting him in the booth a lot more than that. He's our winner for our second race, but there is a third race, and don't forget that those top 8 get reversed. So Paul O'Mahony will take us to the grid in the final race of the season. That is not our grid for the final races. Is it Harvey Dara's?
That's our grid, yeah. Harvey Dara.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, my apologies. Dara Connor finished ninth. So Harvey Dara in first, and then followed by Peter McCann and Conor Mealy, Kevin Joyce. There are a lot of at Campto, Brandon. There are a lot of RTA regulars fronting the grid here. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes.
Yeah, this could be good. We haven't seen Connor and Peter run at the front this evening yet, so be interesting to see how they get on with some of the newcomers a little bit further down the grid. People to keep an eye on. Dylan McClemens in 22nd. He's going to be angry at how tonight's gone, and will be putting that into his driving. And usually when Dylan drives angry, he drives very fast. Keep an eye on Tony Griffin from the back as well. He was strong in heat number 2. Here we go then for the 20-minute feature race, and in heat number 3 of round number 1 at Donington Park, we are away, and it's not Brandon McGohan on the front row this time. It's Harvey Dara who will lead in towards turn number 1. Great start for Conor Mealy, getting up the gear as well. No one really missing a gear down towards the first corner. Peter McCann is going to pivot to the outside and try swoop his way round. Harvey Dara taking a nice tight line through Redgate, and McCann is already hot on the heels of the pole sitter off the front row. Kevin Joyce in 4th spot, leader of the scholarship drivers, heading down towards the old hairpin. He's looking to try and make some moves, or maybe even just anticipate some defensive efforts, and he is going to have to defend from Jean de Vella, who says his plan is just to survive. He's doing a good job of it here. We are fairly clean on the opening lap, most staying where they started.
Yeah, it just amazes me, and I'm sorry now, I'm slightly fanboy for a second, but just like Peter McCann is somebody who, you know, he doesn't have the real world experience, he doesn't have the titles to his name, he doesn't have the, you know, but every single season, it doesn't matter who joins us, Peter always ends up putting himself in the picture, particularly in these final races. He's a testament to racecraft, is Peter McCann. He always manages to, it's just incredible how he manages to stay up there. Yeah, it must be that. Right, he's going to go for the lead, is he? Oh, who's that way in the background? Is that? Let's have a look there through our timetable.
Jean de Vella has got all sorts of out of shape. He's kept out of the pack. He's ran into the gravel, not hit the wall, but this is going to be a very difficult point to rejoin because it's right on the racing line. But he did a really good job of not wiping out half the field there, to be honest. Niall Leahy's ran wide as well. Speaking of wiping out the field, the banana cars clipped Sean McGoldrick again and then spun back in front of the field. Dylan McClemens has gone airborne. Oh, he dove to the left-hand side to try avoid, but couldn't. He's gone over the catch fence, and that is disappointing to see a McClemens airborne on round number 1, but that is Dylan, who has not had a strong result this evening, and we may have both McClemens taking their drop rounds. That was Harvey Dara who clipped Sean McGoldrick once again. They spun into the pit wall. Controversy here in Heat 3.
Yeah, it's not the first time a McClemens has found himself airborne in the opening round of a Formula V championship, but nonetheless, I feel very bad for Dylan there. He did everything he could. It looked like that crash was moving from left to right as he saw. He dove to the left to try and go around the other side of it, and then all of a sudden it came back at him. So very, very hard to predict these things, and I really don't think that Dylan did anything wrong. I'd absolutely do the same in his position. I would be diving to the left to try and get out of the way of it as much as I possibly could, and let's have a look at how it all happened. Here's Dara O'Connor, and it's just a bit of a sandwich there. Ken Doyle in the middle of it, and they pitched out. And you can see Dylan. I just wonder what Sean McGoldrick was doing there, going back again. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where, you know, I know when you're in an accident, you feel like you're just trying to get out of the way of people, but actually the best thing you can do is stay where you are, because most people will move around you. So if you just stay where you are, then anyway, look, it's Sean McGoldrick is a far better racer than I'll ever even dream to be. So I'll hold my judgment, because he's usually exceptionally clean, and I think with all the best intentions there, but just don't know if it was the right move in the moment. But anyway, Peter McCann leading the race. Peter McCann
end up in the fence though. That was weird. The iRacing physics working overtime there.
Yeah, well, you know, definitely a bit of a I'm trying to think of his name now. It's gone in my head. Alan McNish. Was it Alan McNish that went into the catchment fence in Le Mans back in something like 2004? That's a spectacular accident that you definitely should watch on YouTube. It's very entertaining. Nobody died, does okay. So yeah, it's you're looking at it from Brandon McGohan's point of view, but the action is in front of him as Conor Mealy tries to dive down the inside. Now, is he going to try and move on Peter McCann? He's edging. He's got it done. Can he get on the brakes? He can. Great move there from Conor Mealy, and our championship contender, having crashed out on the opening lap of the opening race, now leads proceedings as we go into the 4th lap of the final race.
Yeah, 2-for-1 multi-buy for Conor Melia down towards the chicane. Must have got it off Finley Melvin, and he's now in the race lead. Peter McCann is still on the outside here at Harvey Dara, who's running strong at the front. It is Melia, McCann, McGaughan, Dara, Mawhinney, Joyce, Jack Wynne, Campto Chuckwa, Ken Doyle, Jamal Gandor. Jamal is running in the top 10. What an excellent performance this could be for Jamal. It was very quick in the last round of last season in Tsukuba. Had very strong pace, and that seemed to have carried forward here. He's not near Emma Dempsey on track. Although, as well pointed out by Jamal last season, they went the full season without contact, so they've turned a new corner. Here is Jack Wynne on the outside of Kevin Joyce. There's not an awful lot of space here, so he's going to have to use all that curb on the right-hand side. And Kevin Joyce is looking to leave a mark here on the top 10. Not able to hang it on the inside, though. That's a lovely move from Jack Wynne round the outside. Gets the job done.
Yeah, great move from Wynne in the 419 car. In 6th position at the moment, but I suspect that we'll be talking about him a good bit more as this championship goes on, judging by what I've seen so far. We're 3 wide once again. I mean, it's just an ordinary 3 wide down the front straight that we seem to see every single lap as Brandon McGaughan is back in the lead. Well, would you look at that, starting in all the way down in 7th position, having finished 2nd in the last race. Brandon finds himself in the running for the lead. So it's Conor Melia, Brandon McGaughan and Peter McCann. You can put in all the whippersnappers, you can offer anything you can at Mondello Park, and these 3 will still find a way to make it about themselves. So let's have a look. There's a lapped car in proximity here, and this is going to be a bit of a dangerous situation. It's number 46, is it? Or 40? It is. It's Caoimhín Brennan in the 46 that's running in front of this gaggle, and Caoimhín will be best served to get out of the way here. Yes, he finally does. Releases these cars, but he's giving enough to stay in the inside, and that's going to make things very tricky. Now, eventually, he breaks on the racing line, and if Caoimhín does get to the point where he gets into the interview stage, I suspect that clip will be need some explaining. That wasn't the greatest version of blue flag driving,
No,
but anyway,
but at the same time, didn't do anything wrong either.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're in what
you have 3 marshal posts to get out of the way. I think he was okay there.
Yeah, but I was braking on the racing line going into a corner. Anyway, look, it's
I need new trousers after sitting behind that, mate.
Yeah. Look at that from Harvey Dara. Is that a double overtake from Harvey? Threw in Jack Wynne and indeed Campto Chuckwa. Kevin Joyce following through there as well. Those 3 seem to have the better run, as Caoimhín unfortunately finds himself wrapped up in it again, and once again on the racing line. I just think if you're blue flags, just get off the racing line altogether, unless you absolutely have to be on the racing line. But anyway, look, I digress. Kevin Joyce, this is a lovely little angle. Let's have a look at the other angle there that we were on previously, because you get to look at the brake cable in all of its 1440p glory. And that is something that you didn't get to see before, but thanks to Ronan Hederman's constant want for improvement, we now find ourselves with superb 1440 on YouTube and 1080 on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, get over to YouTube. That's where all the comments are happening. And by the way, on that subject, thanks to all of you for your ongoing comments this evening. We haven't got a chance to get around to them because there's been so much going on, but we'll try to get around to them when we can, Evan.
Yeah, that was really close for Kevin Joyce and Campto Chuckwa. There's been a couple of times where Kevin has almost ran wheel to wheel with the other driver, and I'd say he's very thankful that he's got some nice high fibre internet down in Cork, because there was no netcode, and he's got the move done on Campto Chuckwa. Ken Doyle, despite being involved in that little bit of a sandwich down towards turn number 1 a few laps ago, which involved himself, Dara O'Connor and Sean McGoldrick, still running a steady 9 here inside the top 10. He's in the slipstream of Campto Chuckwa, and doesn't seem to be too much damage on the Ling Motorsports car, so seems to be a-okay and able to carry on here. Jack Wynne defending from Kevin Joyce, Campto Chuckwa and Harvey Dara side by side. There's a lot of swapping and changing. Campto and Harvey are going to be sick of the sides of each other because they've been battling all evening together. Yeah,
but look, that's where you want to be. I mean, these 2 guys are battling up the the pointy end of the grid, and that's where you want to be. I mean, look at Brandon McGahan. He's doing absolute. Ooh, that's a bit of a touch there between Kevin Joyce and Camto Chukwe. Camto just nudging off the back of Kevin's right rear. Oh, it's Jamal, sorry, in the Crayola River. Why wouldn't it be? Of course it's Jamal. No, it's not Jamal.
No, it's Kevin.
Joyce.
That's Jamal on board.
Kevin, yeah, but it's Kevin that knocked into Camto Chukwe, which knocked him slightly offline and allowed Ken Doyle to come through. Ken is having a great run here, and a talk of all of the content creators. We have Jack Wynn in 5th place, and we have Ken Doyle in 8th position. So just goes to show you the content creators are more than just, you know, what is it, glorified, I don't know what you call them, glorified content creator types, that they're actually able to wheel around this track as well. Right, into lap 8, into the 10th minute. We've 10 minutes left of the racing this evening. And Evan, it has been fast. It has been furious. But there hasn't been, thankfully, any drifting.
No, not too much drifting. It's been all good. It's been mostly clean for the most part. We've had a couple of big incidents, but like, we put 20 Vs in Mondello and we get a few crashes. We've put 35 in Donington. You kind of expect the same thing. But for the most part, very clean. A lot of scholarship drivers are really putting themselves out there. Dara Halley, especially in this race, is up 19 positions, and that is an excellent performance so far for Halley. Travis McWhinney, of course, has been a big name as well, taking the heat win, and Jack Wynn in 5th position as well. Win in the name is win in the nature. We'll find out in the next 10 minutes of this one, as we are looking at your front runners now. Top 4 separating themselves from the pack here, but there is 4 of them. And as I said the last time, Travis McWhinney doesn't like working together. Peter and Connor will, but I'm not sure about Brandon. We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out how this turns out. I was waiting to see how long it was before you'd get Jack Wynn's name in an attempted pun, and it was about as ham-fisted as I expected. But a good job nonetheless.
No, mate.
You're talking about big risers. Jara Halley up 20 positions, just behind Robbie Callahan, up 14 positions. Both of them driving for my endurance team, Wildfire Racing, in the Daytona 24. So looking forward to driving with them. So obviously that makes me completely unbiased about how their championship goes, but you know, I'm not a steward. I don't have any direct say in these things. So I'll be able to harbour my slight biases over the course of the season. So I'll just be keeping an eye on them just to see how they're getting on. Right, Kevin Joyce still holding on in that beautiful Crayola. Is that fuchsia? I'm not sure what Crayola colour that be. Is it?
I think it's blue, Kevin.
Fuchsia? Well, I think it's more than blue, Evan, but if you want to think in only the 12 programmed window colours, then be my guest. No, so, I mean, there's cross on the outside. Oh, there's Connor. Is that Connor on the outside? It is. Oh, Connor marooned in an awful position. It is Melia. What happened there? And the arriving pack thankfully seems to have avoided him, but that was looking pretty sketchy for a second. Let's have a look here. Connor Melia
himself. Or has he?
Just have to have a look here, whether it's cause or effect. Let's have a look here.
This is
Brandon. There's a bit of a train here.
Yeah.
Oh, totally out of the blue, and great stuff from Travis McWhinney to avoid him. Oh, he's pinned on a bad spot. Oh, but great work by those arriving as well. Nobody taking the usual racing line there, all sticking to the script and avoiding Conor Melia. But Travis McWhinney, outstanding work to avoid hitting Melia there.
That's a rookie error from Conor Melia. I say it because I've done it about a million times, but very much a rookie error, and something that he won't be too happy with himself for doing. Thrown away a potential race win here. He's now down in the fight with LD and Dara Halley down towards the old hairpin. As Lawrence de Salsa is trying around the outside of the crater curves. Ambitious, brave. Not pulled off, unfortunately. Dara Halley will stay in front, but LD is going to try and get the run up the hill here on the Ryanair liveries of Dara Halley, and Lawrence de Salsa trying the outside. Conor Melia's on a warpath here. He almost looked to make it free wide. This is the corner where he went round the last time. He's nailed on the braking here. Lawrence parks it on the apex though, so Conor Melia not able to get a wheel up the inside. Will it be a lunge in towards Coppice? No, backs off. Has to think about championship points now at this point. You're not going for broke anymore. You're just trying to bring the car home and get a good score for your efforts.
Yeah, and I would say brave and ambitious is definitely two words some people would use to describe LD, and he's running really well here. He's down to 13th now since Conor Melia got that move done on the back straight, but he's down 2 places overall, but still is doing exceptionally well in this championship. I was going to come to something there now, and it's gone playing out of my head as I was watching it. But Brandon ahead of Peter McCann, and it looks like these two are more likely to see us. So, I was going to ask you, Connor, Evan, is what happened with Connor there? You said it's a rookie error. You said you've done it yourself. So, what exactly did Connor do wrong there?
Carried too much speed to the corner. Tried to turn in. Car said, nope, I've got way too much speed, not making that. Round it went. Rear just completely went on him. It's either that or he broke on the grass, but I don't think he did. I think he was too far into the corner. But yeah, the rear just was not planted, spun round on him. And that is a case of the back wanting to become the front. It's like Richard Hammond said. It's or understeer is when you don't see the tree when you hit it. Oversteer is when or sorry, no, I've got it the wrong way around. Oversteer is when you don't see the tree as it kills you. Understeer is when you do.
Kevin, I'm going to say Kevin Cox or Kevin CXX7 says, save the blue crayons for me, please. Sure thing, Kevin. Just please don't stick them up your nose. Phil Upson says, how are Emma and Jamal meant to kill each other from that far apart? Oh, speaking of being killed, there's Dara Harvey Dara, should I say. Sorry, looked at that name without properly digesting it. But yeah, Jordan says only speed can cause the rear to step out like that. Yeah, so looks like that is the problem there. Here's Harvey going on. That looks like Jack. Looks like Jack Wynn here. He's going up side by side with clips the curb. Ooh, and that's a bit of iRacing physics coming very much to Jack Wynn's favour there. Harvey, unfortunately, becoming a bit of a split banana through that sequence. Yeah, that was a bit of a weird one. I suppose it was probably on Harvey to keep his line where he is. And just as we say it, Jamal is beginning to what would I say? No, Ronan says beam himself. That's not the word I'm looking for. He's beginning to kind of
a better description. He's done a Jamal.
He's done a Jamal.
We all know what he's doing.
Jamal is essentially doing what he's obliging us, is the word I'm looking for, by getting closer and closer every lap to Emma Dempsey. So it's the rematch everybody wants, people. Like Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier, or no, the joke went out of my
Kevin
head.
cannot name another boxing.
There was a really funny joke. No, well, I just couldn't think of the guy that was involved in the car accident. I was going to say, what's his name? The British boxer.
No, don't think now is the time. Brandon McGaughan is going for the race lead or is in the race lead, I should say, ahead of Peter McCann, and there is Harvey Dara. It's the humbling return to the pit lane. Had to do a full lap with that damage. He'll now go in for his fast repair and get back out in the minor placings. Here is another man who had his troubles, Conor Melia, who's fighting with Lawrence De Soswa, Dara Halley and Kamto Chukwa, and De Soswa and Halley are side by side once again, but once again it's Dara Halley who just gets out of the corner quickest, picks up a bit of gravel on the exit, runs along the grass, and Lawrence De Soswa has a good slipstream here, running the iRacing livery that is, I believe, on the real-life Formula V of the gentleman who owns iRacing, whose name escapes me, but Lawrence De Soswa in that livery in the number 29, not able to get on the back of Dara Halley, and Conor Melia is now going to try and challenge LD. Race lead still belonging to Brandon McGaughan. Travis Mawhinney, I think, lost all that time when Conor Melia spun round, avoiding him. Brilliant collision avoidance from Travis Mawhinney, but that has taken him out of the race win fight with 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's superb stuff from Mawhinney to get it out, but unfortunately it cost him probably a race win here. But this is the ups and downs of racing, and unfortunately you just have to take your medicine sometimes. As I said, it's about being in the right place at the right time. We've had a few comments looking for driver of the day. Don't forget, we do give out a driver of the day. Usually it's given to drivers who aren't in the podium positions or aren't in the top positions, but still we find do a good job nonetheless. Peter McCann there's been 2 votes already for Peter McCann. I'm looking to see who else, but it is. But get in the comments and tell us, because I'm sure they're both bots. Even Johnny Hollywood, I'm sure there's somebody took over his account. Peter McCann is remotely controlling his account.
Chris is his brother.
Yeah. Oh, it is Chris McCann. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's Sean McClement says Johnny Hollywood for driver of the day. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. That's great. Definitely suffered some concussion in that incident last year. Jack, driver of the day, is from Stephen. Jack's our driver of the day. Connor Melia edging it, says Sean. So yeah, there's a couple of different votes. Give us your shouts and we'll come up with with our decision by the end of the evening. Speaking of Jack, sir, he's in 5th position at the moment, absolutely flying. And Brandon McGahan and Peter McCann still out in front, but the battle behind them still rages on.
Yeah, Conor Melia pulled off a great move on Dara Halley. Dara Halley has had a really strong effort, by the way. This is pace that we haven't seen in a few weeks from Dara Halley. But putting it up here to Conor Melia and LD, the slipstream definitely helps them. But Brandon McGahan and Peter McCann separated by a 10th and a half. And I think Peter McCann is going to start looking for the race lead here, or certainly that gap is closing down. Dara Halley dives up the inside as yet. They're heading to the old hairpin has look, who just has to be involved in the fight for the win. Even if he is a lap down, it's Dylan McClements who's trailing. But Brandon McGahan has made a mistake here, and Peter McCann all of a sudden fancies his chances. It would be back-to-back round wins for Peter McCann. He did win a heat in the season finale last season, and Peter McCann is on the inside of Brandon McGahan here. He's braved it down the inside. Last of the late breakers for Peter McCann, but Brandon McGahan, using all of his real-world experience and a GP4 win around here, is able to stay in front. Peter McCann is going to try and pull off what Travis Mawhinney did on the last lap in heat number 2 and potentially win himself a race here at Donington Park. Brandon McGahan defends all the way to the inside. Peter McCann is going to have to go about it the long way. This is a test of bravery. Who wants it more? Brandon McGahan does. Look how ladies broke. Bounces over the curbs. That is how you win a race. Brandon McGahan braves it out, takes the race win. 2 from 3 on opening night for McGahan. Excellent.
Yeah, he wasn't going to be Travis Mawhinney again, was Brandon McGahan. Stuck down to the inside and shot it through the middle. There was absolutely no chance. He was giving Peter McCann an opportunity as we go 4 wide across the line. Oh, and there's contact at the end. Lawrence gets in ahead. Lawrence de Souza finishes in 8th ahead of Campto Chukwu, then Dara Halley, and then Conor Melia. As we head down through the rest of the pack, Jared Thornton in 17th position. He'll be followed by Emma Dempsey, who thankfully for her finishes well away from Jamal Gandor, who's already crossed the line in 14th position. Some outstanding candidates for driver of the day already. Peter McCann up there, Travis Mawhinney up there, Brandon McGahan certainly. 2 first place finishes and a second as well. You couldn't really ask for much more in this absolutely stacked field as Sean Smith and Pavlo Fishkam follow through there. Pavlo's only recently on the iRacing service, if I'm right in saying. He still has his rookie license, but qualifies for this. He raced in last season's RTA, and a bit of a stylistic finish to what has been an absolutely crazy final race. I don't think we have the mental capacity to do these commentaries if they're all going to be this mad, Evan, but we'll do the best we can. Let's have a listen to the final results this evening in the opening round of the RTA Formula V Scholarship Series.
Yes, it is Brandon McGahan who takes the race win ahead of Peter McCann. Travis Mawhinney comes home in 3rd. Kevin Joyce, excellent result for Kevin. Probably a candidate for driver today as well if you haven't made your mind up yet, folks. In 4th, Jack Wynn in 5th. Robbie Callahan comes home in 6th. Ken Doyle in 7th. Then it is Lawrence de Souza who is in 8th position ahead of Campto Chukwu. Dara Halley comes home in 10th. Conor Melia in 11th ahead of Aidan Fagan in 12th. Leo Bryan in 13th. Jamal Gandor 14th. And it is Niall Leahy in 15th ahead of Andy Middleton who comes home in 16th. Jared Thornton takes 17th ahead of Edmund Dempsey. Dara O'Connor and Lee Coogan round out the top 20. Just below that is Ross Wheatley in 21st, ahead of Sean Smith in the Licky Molly livery in 22nd. Paolo Kishkan in 23rd, ahead of Harvey Dara, who we saw involved in his troubles in that third heat, as was Sean McGoldrick. Jake O'Regan comes home in 26 ahead of Jean Zoutevella, who went off at the final chicane in the early stages. Queenie Brennan in 28th, who had his trouble as a lap car, and Adam Carney comes home in 29th. Then it was Mr. Airborne Dylan McClemens who comes home in 30th, which is just disappointing for him. Ronan Keane in 31st. Paul O'Mahony, Tony Griffin, Dermot Toomey, Lorcan Walsh, Brian Rowan, and Conan Wyrne, your non-finishers. Let's hear then from your two-time race winner already in this series, Mr. Brandon McGahan. Brandon, you told us before that heat you liked this track. Safe to say that was repeated. You weren't going to be done on the brakes this time, though.
Yeah. Oh, phone's ringing. Sorry. No, definitely not. It was a long enough race. It felt like just me and Peter kept it nice and clean with each other after Connor unfortunately went out, and then yeah, we went out at the last lap and it just came down to the last chicane. To be fair, I didn't side, so all I had to do really was send it in deep and not spin. So had a bit of a moment over the curbs, but managed to keep it straight, and yeah, nice to get an R1.
Yeah, we of course are putting a lot of focus on the scholarship prize this season, but we do have a regular championship as well. You are now firmly planted at the top of that. Is it something you think you can continue looking at the calendar?
Hopefully, yeah. I mean, due to it being that earlier in the year, I'm hoping it won't clash with any racing. So, fingers crossed, I should be able to do the whole championship this time. And be nice. Don't think I've ever finished in the top 3 of an RTA championship yet. So, would be nice to go for the win.
Then you're always a fan of your retro F1 liveries. We have another cracker on the car. Any reason for the choice?
I just really like Stefan Belov. When I got my helmet painted, when I got my red helmet painted, it was kind of in between that or a Belov replica. Just always liked him for some reason.
I thank you very much for joining us, Brandon. I'm being swiftly prompted by one of our drivers to tell you that Chloe says hi. I've not been told context for that. There you go. Thank you very much for joining us, Brandon.
Cheers.
I can't imagine we will be not talking to you for too long.
Sound. See you next week, hopefully.
Then just missing out on the win in heat number 3, and now speaking with his new biggest fan, it is Kevin Galvin. It's Kevin Galvin speaking with Peter McCann.
Yeah. I'm such a big fan. I'm actually driving the car myself. Peter McCann. We can get all of these young whippersnappers. We can you have Formula coming out the years, Carters coming out the years. We have guys who are juniors. We have mini drivers, and yet who's up the front in a stupid Navy livery or Air Force livery? Only the formerly Earn-Tile sponsored Peter McCann.
That's the best intro I've ever had. I'm kicking myself now why I didn't forego the admin privileges and go for the scholarship myself, to be honest with you. So
I don't know. Can you are you allowed fit in a Formula V at this stage, Peter? I'm not sure what you
that is questionable, all right.
And your brother Chris was watching along as well, which is a nice little bonus as well. I'm sure he won't be giving you any grief over that. But
He'd be so proud.
I don't know, just talk us through. Sean McClements also called the last lap a bit of a bottle job from you. So can you talk us through what happened there at the end of Brandon McGahan?
Yeah, like I couldn't get the run out onto the straight that I wanted, and by the time I got to the corner, I was probably slightly ahead. But once you're on the outside there, you can't make it stick. Like the man on the inside, I tried to be more efficient through the corner, but I got a little wiggle, and just had to forego it and give it to him. Tried my best.
So yeah, well, you can have it out with Sean later on because I think he disagrees. You obviously you're involved in the running of this series, and you were the one that came up behind this idea. So we were probably going to have a chat with you anyway about this. But how does it feel to see it kind of come to fruition? To actually see, finally, I know this has been a long time ambition of both yourselves and ourselves in terms of being involved. To finally see a link now between what we're doing on the sim and what we're seeing on the sim in terms of the talent, and actually getting that to translate on track at Mondello.
Yeah, it's going to be unreal. When we get 3 of these drivers out here that are like already bringing it to the likes of Connor and Dylan and everything on track here, like you can just know that the pace is going to come across. Like they mightn't be fighting for race wins, maybe they will, but I guarantee you it will transfer really, really well over just a simple weekend. The pace is going to be surprising, and it's going to be just awesome to finally have this happen in Ireland. Like, it's going to be so cool. We can't thank,
Yeah,
by the way, Johnny and Adam enough behind this, and everyone, you guys, everybody that's been involved in it. There's more to come on that as well, of course. There's more people getting involved, but yeah, we just can't thank everyone enough that's involved in this. It's going to be something else over the next few weeks, and then into the real seat then too.
yeah, and I mean anybody who's on the fence about getting behind this, you look at this opening 3 races, and like probably the biggest grid we've ever had in RTA, certainly in my time, and not just RTA, but spanning pre-RTA as well, the era, with the IDMC and all that. Like this is by far the largest grid we've had, and the standard of driving, you can see how it's so tight. But lads are they're racing properly. They're racing like they're there. There's no messing around. There's just good, really close racing. It's been kind of, I don't know, from your position, obviously you were in it for the final race, but we're just, myself and Evan are kind of blown away by we always say the standard is very high, which it is, but I think not just the standard, but the racecraft as well seems to be exceptionally high already this season.
Yeah, it really, really does. Like, we always have a worry coming into round one when we have new entrants and stuff, but what we've seen is everyone getting on for practice. Now, I know there's more on the line, but everyone's on for practice, and people know what they should be doing and when they should be doing it. Like, there's not being making big crazy dives, like, and losing the group ahead of them. They're being clever about what they're doing, and like you said, the racecraft is there. And again, that's something that should translate very well in reality too.
Yeah, well, hopefully. Look, I'm sure there's a lot of scholarship lads are be fairly sour faced about the fact that the admin of the league has gotten himself into second position, but surely absolutely deserved on merit alone. Peter, great to talk to you. You've timed it perfectly now that we can have a bit of a chat as the season goes on, and you never know. Hopefully, we'll be speaking to you at some point in the future.
That's very questionable now, and you know that yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely do. But if I know anything about RTA, you find some way of swinging a podium position in the last race of the year. So looking forward to talking to you when we finally get to the last race of the year. Look, Peter, thanks a million. Speak to you very shortly, and best of luck for the rest of the season on track.
Thanks, guys.
So that was Peter McCann, and finally, hopefully, Evan can finally rekindle his romance here with Travis Mawhinney, who hopefully has sorted his mic issues out. We can have a chat with him now.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
All good. We can hear
There
you
you go.
loud
There's
and clear.
something was loose. That was the problem.
Well, one win for you tonight, some impressive podium finishes as well. I want to just go back to sort of my original question from earlier. Yeah, the heat too. You've said plenty of times you don't fancy working together with people. You like winning. That move on the last lap certainly showed that.
Yeah, the last lap was a good move indeed. We were both, me and Brandon, were just trying to be smart about it, so that the other drivers behind us wouldn't wouldn't close the gap or anything. So we just played it smart for the rest of the race, and that's about it. It's very good racing going on between me and Brandon. I really respect that.
Of course, scholarship, you are eligible. A big advantage for you is that you've raced real world machinery. You were in the Mini last season. Look, let's not beat around the bush. You're potentially one of the favourites for the prize, going by what people have been saying in the Discord and stuff like that, and all your pace. Are you confident you can be one of the top three come the end of the 8 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's possible if we keep this up from what I've just achieved today. I think I'll do just fine. Now, the Formula Vs, of course, perform a lot differently compared to the Minis that I drove from last year. So if I really just keep this up with the podiums and wins, then I think I'll do just all right.
What's the next guest the track on the Instagram then? Can we have a hint for the viewers?
I really don't know. There was one series that's shown up that interested me. It was the subsidized seat, but it's thrown out the window now. It's a long story, but I'll try and find somewhere to go to at least that's within my budget and try and get a ton of sponsors really.
And then finally, in terms of RTA, obviously the scholarship thing is somewhat performance based, but we have, of course, our adjudication panel as well. Let's look just purely at the racing. Is the championship something in your eyes here?
Maybe. Obviously, the first race was a good start, but if I want to win the championship overall, I do need to do a bit more better than what I've achieved. Maybe like 2 wins a race, 1-2 wins a race, and maybe a couple podiums here and there, and it'll be a possibility. If someone were to be close to my pace, then I'll surely keep an eye on them, as they could be my rivals for the rest of the season, especially for the scholarship. The scholarship's on the line and all. So yeah, let's just see what happens.
Travis, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations once again.
Great, thank you very much.
So good to hear from our podium there, Kevin. Now we have the difficult job of driver of the day. We've put it to the stream chat once again, and it's weird. We've actually got too many suggestions rather than not enough for once. I don't know if there's anyone that takes your fancy.
Well, I liked myself. That was put forward by Sean McClements.
Yeah, I got a nomination as well, which was happy
Yeah,
to see.
it's great to get. It's lovely to be nominated. I have to. We do work exceptionally hard. Can we have it? Can we do a COTD every week? I'm not entirely. Although you might say that C stands for something else. We won't go there. Right.
We'd win that one though.
We definitely win that one. Although Ronan runs us slow sometimes. It's very, very hard. I mean, like, obviously Jack Wynn had a great evening. A lot of people in the chat want us to vote for him. He's had a great, especially in the last race. Like, obviously Brandon overall results very strong, and Travis as well. Peter McCann coming back into it. God, it's very difficult to say. I think probably just from a debut point of view, Travis. It's hard to know because obviously we expect Travis to be kind of involved over the course of the season, but just purely from a like straight out the gate debutante to finish.
No, he did last season.
Oh, he did last season. Okay,
He
well,
did last season.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard.
Going by the
I don't
chat,
know.
it's between Jack or Peter.
We have to give it to Jack then. Can't give it to Peter.
No, I think we have to give it to Jack. I think he was
Yeah,
a bit more consistent.
All right. Well, then our Gantry TV driver of the day for the opening round is YouTube sensation, and a very rapid Formula 3 driver, as it turns out, Jack Wynn, or Jaxer on YouTube. Jack, congratulations, and I'm sure that this will be a very, very popular choice. And to all of you who voted for Jack, we would love to see you join us again next week. This is what we get every week. We just don't. There aren't enough eyes on it. Really, is the only thing. So we do hope you join us again next week and watch your boy take us around the latest round as he comes in perfectly on time. Definitely not COTD this week, Ronan. The V Scholarship Series. We head over to the state of Connecticut and the very famous Lime Rock track. And if Lime Rock isn't small enough for you, we've done the GP configuration. So all set to be another very, very interesting, very tight
That's actually
circuit.
the Formula
The
V
largest
official
one of
this
it.
week, folks. So get your practice in.
Ah, well then, and if you're on the iRacing service, then you can jump in and see how you compare to some of these guys, because they make it look a lot easier than it is, I can tell you. But yeah, Evan, already shaping up to be a superb season.
What an evening. And firstly, folks, a big thanks for your support as well, because that's by far broke our live viewer record on Gantry TV anyways. But a big thanks. We're in for some season. Check out rtavirtualmotorsport.com for all your standings. The website is just fabulous, so make sure to do that. Of course, we have to thank our big sponsors as well. Gamerfest, who are coming on board. We'll have more about Gamerfest next week. And of course, Mondello Park, who are sponsoring the entries for the scholarship. So a big thanks to Mondello, big thanks to Gamerfest. And yeah, we couldn't do this without them.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, Bomb Motorsport, Evan, very, very, what would I say, graciously left out
I
there.
couldn't
But,
really thank myself as a
thank myself.
sponsor.
Yeah.
That would be
But no,
COTD of the week for sure.
Bois doing superb stuff, and obviously, Irish motorsport is very much a niche, unfortunately, still in the country. But I think, given the outstanding popularity of some of the other motor racing series that we've seen, Bois as a perfect addition to the media landscape here in Irish motorsport, and yeah, really looking forward to seeing its progression as well. And they've also come on board a sponsor of Wildfire Racing, so big week in Bois Motorsport Towers. I think it's fair to say. But yeah, thanks very much to them
Oh,
as
it's
well. You
building
can
a
see all
base
of those
actually.
ones.
Bois Motorsport Towers, would you believe?
Oh well, there you go.
Towers over for the Singleton's office.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I didn't think we were allowed to legally mention them on stream.
Oh,
Right.
sorry. Yeah, no, yeah. You didn't hear
But
that,
yeah,
Peter.
no, you didn't hear that, yeah. No, look, it's a great series. We have some superb drivers, and we're really looking forward to you joining us again next week for the latest round. If you are, as I said, RTA Virtual Motorsports is where to get all your information on it. But we'll be heading to Lime Rock next week, so it's 9 o'clock next Tuesday, the 12th of, he says with lots of conviction, the 12th of January for the latest round of the RTA Formula V. 13th of January for the latest round of the RTA Virtual Motorsport Formula V Scholarship Series. Thanks so much to all of you for tuning in. Hopefully we'll have more good news next week for this fantastic series. But until then, my many thanks to Ronan Hederman for his tireless work, for Evan Dalton as well for his superb work in the background, and from myself, Kevin Galvin. Until next week, Song of Fun.